There are a series of trends in the church world that, if I'm being honest, I'd like to see put to rest. And seeing as we're about to enter into a new year, my recommendation is this. Let's abandon these trends in 2018 and move on to smarter things in 2019. In this video, I'll detail what each of these 5 trends is and why you need to set them to rest before the end of the year.
Well, hey there, and welcome to Pro Church Tools, the show where in 10 minutes or less, you'll get a dose of tips and tactics to help your church share the message of Jesus while we navigate the biggest communication shift we've seen in 500 years. I'm your host, Alex Mills, joined as always by the boss man, Brady Shearer.
Alex, let's not spend any time waiting. Let's dive right into these 5 church trends that need to die.
They need to die.
Let's move into the new year with a clean slate.
Well,
with a blank canvas.
We're on our way into the new year, which means, of course, it's Christmas season, but it might as well be Halloween around here because the Grim Reaper, he's here today, and he's putting some things to rest.
Wow, that was something. Okay. Number 1, I'm calling it Sunday social sprints. What is a Sunday social sprint, you might ask? It's when churches post 2 times, 3 times, maybe even 10 times as much social content on a Sunday than they do any of the other 6 days throughout the week. Have you ever logged on to Instagram and gone on a Sunday to a church's Instagram story?
Yeah.
And the little dots representing individual stories are so small, you're like, is this just 800 stories and I can't even tell?
Yeah, there are so many individual ones that it looks like it's just one line, but it's actually 32 individual stories documenting, everything that happened that morning. But on Monday through Saturday, that church is pretty quiet on Instagram.
Here's what I don't understand. Social media is about attention, communicating your message to the people that need to hear it. But if the majority of your people are already in your building,
you have their attention on that one day.
The amount of effort and work you're putting into all that social content, it just seems superfluous. It just seems not necessary because that would be so much more valuable on a Saturday, on a Monday through Friday. And I think it's because churches feel like, well, we've got something going on Sunday, finally something to document. But again, that kind of shows that we're just not as fluent with social as we should be. You don't need to spend so much time on social on Sunday. Do it on all the other days. That's the whole point. Seize the 167.
Yes.
Churches are actually using social during the 1.
Right.
But no!
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Seize the 167 other hours that you don't have warm bodies in your church and get their attention then.
It's not to say you can't use social media on Sunday.
Right.
But why are you doing it 10 times more than the other days? Trend number 2 that needs to die. Passing the friendship registry. Now, you might think churches don't still do this, but trust me, I do their announcements, and I know that they do.
Yeah.
A friendship registry has many different names, but basically, it's the clipboard at the end of the pew that you each physically with a pen sign into every week. It's used to track attendance. It's also used to get and keep and update information of new visitors, but also the existing congregation, and every single person fills it out every single week. I talked to a pastor that told me, he's like, why would I ever abandon the friendship registry? It has like a 95% conversion rate.
It's impressive.
And what I said was, I recognize that it's working. The trade-off that you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is that if anyone 30 or younger, or pretty much anyone, comes in and they feel the peer pressure, because that's what it's doing.
Right.
It's pressuring you into giving your information. If they feel the peer pressure to give you their info, yes, you got it, but at what cost?
Yeah.
And this pastor understood, and he was older. He said, oh yeah, you know what? That does make sense. He's like, just because we're getting their information, maybe we've completely lost the ability to get them to come back because that's going to leave such a bad taste in their mouth.
Yeah, you may have collected their email address or their social insurance number, but have you made a good first impression, and are they going to be back next week? Well, who knows? And this one's weird to me because I have been working in church for a long time, but I've been attending church my whole life. I've just been a part of church culture for as long as I've been alive. And I had never heard about this until we talked about it for the first time. Like, churches actually do that?
Dude, they passed the friendship registry at the church I went to when I was a kid, when I was in youth, and it would pass down to all the youth, and we would just make up names and be like, yes, I'm 65 plus, and my name is Mr., Kevin McAllister.
Hey, but you filled it out. 96% of youth in that room completed that form. So,
and people kept wondering, well, look at all these Home Alone characters coming to our church.
It's impressive.
Trend number 3, displaying insider promos where potential new visitors are finding you. Now, I've got 2 specifics here. I see a lot of churches using the very top of their website, that real estate that you see above the fold, the first thing you see when you land on a church's website, but also their Facebook cover. And churches will promote events there. Churches will advertise their upcoming sermon series there. Those 2 places especially your Facebook cover, no one in your congregation is going to your Facebook page of their own volition. They're going to interact with your posts. They're going to see the post within your group, but no one's going out of their way to search your church in like the search bar of Facebook and then finding you there. Who's finding you on your website? Who's seeing your Facebook page? Potential new visitors. It makes no sense to use that real estate for existing insider information when the majority of people are likely hitting those spots, and even if it's not the majority, the places that real estate matters most is for new visitors. So don't clutter it with your sermon series because a new visitor just isn't going to be enticed by that.
Yeah, let's put that one to rest.
That's an easy one. Yeah. And then church trend number 4, organic social media as a primary promotional tool. What do I mean by this? Using social as a tool for communicating, getting in-person events and talking about upcoming services. Social media should be a tool that you use to accomplish your church's mission. What would you post online on social if your Sunday service did not exist? If you want to promote events, if you want to promote services, things like that, don't use organic social for it. You might as well spend $10 and run an actual ad for it. Yeah. You'll get way more bang for your buck. It's extremely small cost, and you won't be cluttering your church's social media feed with stuff that is just going to get people to tune out, so that when you post something that you want them to engage with, they don't, because you've cluttered the feed with so much promotion.
Right. We've talked about this before as the 1 in 5 rule. Just no more than 1 out of every 5 of your posts should be promotional in nature. And if you think about TV, we've used this analogy before. If you think about TV, promotional posts are kind of like commercials. We don't sit down on the couch in the evening to watch TV to see the commercials. We know that they're going to be there. We know that they're necessary, but we're there for the show. We're there to interact with that content. And so think of your promotional posts that way.
I'm here for the good place.
Yeah.
Get those commercials out.
Get them out.
And then finally, church trend number 5. This is the most important one. It's also the biggest one that's going to take probably a little more working through than a simple, hey, let's replace that sermon series image with, our mission statement or whatever it might be. Using sermon series as crutches in place of a strong vision and rallying mission. What does that even mean? I see churches do this so often, where they will launch a new series, and it's called
Grave Digger.
Well, it's always called Grave Digger. Come see us at church this Sunday. Yeah. We'll save your seat, but you'll only need the edge. Every time.
Please do a year-long series on that, all year.
And so what churches do is they use the idea behind this sermon series as their entire church's focus for a month. And then they move on to the next month. And then they move on to the next month. And there's nothing wrong with focusing on a sermon series and the content within it. Yeah. So if you're doing a series on guardrails, that's what it's called, and it's all about setting up, appropriate boundaries in your life, that's fine. But what I see churches do is for like the full month, that's all they're about. And then for the next full month, they're on to something completely different and they forget the thing behind. The reason this is troubling and problematic is because it's often used in place of a strong mission or vision. What's the narrative? What's the binding thing that's bringing this whole group of people together and moving them forward? If you only have these sermon series for these 1 month, these 4 to 6 weeks, yeah, it's great to rally people around, but there's nothing there that's going to help with longevity. Right. How is that actually going to be a transformative thing that's going to inspire people to be a part of something bigger than themselves for years to come? Yeah. That's what churches should do. And the best churches have these mission statements, and those narratives are what binds the entire church together. They're so much more powerful and more transformative than a single sermon series. And I see those sermon series getting used as crutches all the time because they almost have this veneer, this guise of what, we really got something here. But it's just like a cheap copycat of what a true mission and rallying vision should be.
Yeah, this one hit me a little bit close to home when we first talked about it, because I never thought about this before. But then when we talked about how, some churches are using these 4 to 6 week sermon series as basically placeholders for
a great word.
For a lack of a bigger, mission statement and purpose. I was like, oh yeah, like I've done that. Like we've done that. And how many of our churches in the summer when things get slow at church, we do summer at the movies, right? Just as this placeholder to get us through until we hit September and we can do our Vision Sunday again. And I think this is part of a broader conversation about having a strong mission statement and then weighing everything up against that. Every decision we're making in churches, whether it's programming or sermon series or even what we're doing on social, how is this helping us accomplish our goal that is quantified in this mission statement?
And I can only speak from experience from our organization with Pro Church Tools, but An example of this would be the difference between seizing the 167, being pioneers in a new land. That's the narrative. That ties everything that we do together. Before that, we would just do different series. Now we're going to talk about social media. Now we're going to talk about video. Now we're going to talk about design. We still do that, but it's all under the umbrella of the rallying mission that we're all a part of. And it's so much more powerful than it was before because of that.
So good.
5 church trends we'd like to see you leave in 2018. Move on to bigger and brighter things in 2019. Yes. That'll do it for this episode of Pro Church Tools. We'll see you next time. Hey, time to talk. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss another one.
And we only need one more thing from you. Like this video.